Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And today on this episode, we're going to talk about when you want more effort, moss effort from your partner. So the other episode before this is similar. This feels like the sister, the twin to that episode. And this can really encompass when you feel like, okay, we're doing good, and somehow though I just wish they could just give me a little bit more. Maybe oftentimes with this sort of flavor, it's I wish I was more of a priority, or they don't make me a priority all the time, or there's this kind of feeling of priority and why am I not a priority? And usually when I ask, especially my one-on-one clients, this question, really they're doing a pretty decent job. Okay, so this really is going to resonate. Not if they are ignoring you, like they're just cut you off, or they've ghosted you. This is not you. Okay, this is really for the girlies that you are with a good partner. If you looked at the facts, that is true, but you just want a little more effort from them. Okay, that's you. This episode's really going to hit. I'm going to also recommend the other episode around this similar topic, but I really feel more effort and being a priority is kind of in this realm. So if that's you, stick around. Also, my name is Claire. I'm a relationship coach, and I love helping career climbing. You are slaying at the career. You got multiple businesses. You're building a big business, a real estate empire, or you are an academic. You have numbers or letters behind your name, high numbers as far as GPA, and you are slaying in those areas, but you are struggling with feeling really anxious in your relationship. It is almost like a bit of a deep, dark secret. It's kind of eating you alive, but nobody would know. How would they really know? Nobody's going to know. But it's safe between us, okay? I know where you're at. And I'm really excited to dive into this topic. Also, if you are enjoying this episode or any other episode, hitting the 5 stars on Apple or Spotify means so much. On the road 400 reviews. Thank you for doing that. And this is probably going to release right before the Align mini retreat, the Oceanside mini retreat, where we're going to you'll experience what it's actually like to get the root of your anxious attachment, to feel in your body what it actually feels like to be secure and confident. That's a transformation that we're doing in a little mini retreat, a little taste, which is I feel the hors d'oeuvre for the bigger experience that's going to come who knows when. I'm talking like Mexico, Hawaii, Italy. I don't know. I'm just dreaming about it. But that's coming up on March 8th. Super excited for that. So let's talk about you want more effort. You want them to give more effort, and the reality is you just feel like they're not doing enough, right? They're doing a decent job. They're doing a good job, but they're just not doing enough for you. This was often what I would say. And I've mentioned this story before, but I had this experience where I had 3 consecutive relationships, because that's what I did. I went from relationship to I would jump from one to the other. Okay, that was essentially my whole 20s. Committed relationship. I'm talking 2-3 years and on to the next. And I remember by the 3rd time, in the 3rd breakup, when these guys did not know each other, they were not in the same circles. It wasn't like we were in the same friend group. No, these people did not know each other. And by the 3rd time, I heard the exact freaking line from the 3rd breakup around, I just feel like I'm not good enough for you, Claire. I just feel like you deserve better, and you know, XYZ. And by the 3rd one, I was like, okay, this is weird. The first time I was like, you're right. I do deserve better. Get out of here. The second one, I was like, okay, that is weird. That sounds really familiar. Okay. By the 3rd one, it was clear. I was like, okay, there's a common denominator, and it really, thank goodness I had that like stroke of awareness. I'm like, whoa, this is interesting that I'm hearing this again in eerily the same way. So I would say this to them in one way or the other. I was really pushing and wanting more in the relationship, and like like really, I hate to say this word, but that's what it feels like, ragging on them. I just wanted to push, 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 push. And I just noticed that within these breakups, okay, like maybe there's something I need to look at. There's a common denominator. Hint, hint, it's me. And I noticed this also in my life that's kind of been circling around and becoming more obvious, I'd say the past couple of years. And the reality is I run a business, okay? I'm a coach. I run a business, and I know that might sound strange for some of you to hear, but I also think it's really important that I say that because this is a business. Like, I believe that we need to be paid for our services, okay? We need to be paid for our services. And that is, I also can believe this from my old, when I was a yoga teacher. The yoga should be free. Why are we like, well, the yoga teachers that are getting paid $25 an hour, that is such a problem for healers and people that give their time and energy into something. And it, for me, when we say, oh, it should be free and all these things, we're only playing into this old dynamic that you are giving up your value. So I just want to say this really clearly that yes, my time is highly valuable. My time is highly valuable. If you've applied for one-on-one coaching, I I don't hide that. That's out there for everyone to see, because it is we need to be in our society. There needs to be energy exchange. Okay, so those of you who are healers that are putting your energy out there, there needs to be energy returned. Okay, so I say that because I had to really hit a bottom in my business. Now, I've always been an entrepreneur, and those of you who know, you know, if you're an entrepreneur as well. But basically, I got to a point where I was not only the director of enrollment for a company, I also had my own business, and I also was a fractal leadership role for somebody else. Okay, literally had 3 different jobs. And while I was kind of like, how do I describe this? When you're kind of holding all those plates, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. And then crash. Like, I don't know if you've been at a restaurant, you've heard the big crash. That's what happened for me. And it happened for me because I wasn't really listening to my body. And my adrenals said, okay, you are not listening. And so we will make you listen. My body just put me down. I had a big surgery. My adrenals just said, okay, that's it. We are done. And I experienced burnout. And in that process, I literally was horizontal. I had so little energy. So I can't even describe how horrible this was. And I always felt that burnout would never happen to me. And I was on that high horse until it did happen. But I was burnt out, and I was realizing in my awakening in that process, like the phoenix must be burnt down. The phoenix must be burnt down to a crisp to rise up again. So when I was in the ashes, when I was down there, I had time. I was horizontal. I was laying down. I needed to rest. That I realized that part of not just the action, but the subconscious programming that I had was that the way that I've always moved through life in the past was more. I need more. I can do more. And when I had the bandwidth, I did more. And guess what? It would come up for me. I would have more opportunities and all these things at the time. And the way that I was operating in that vibration that I was operating, more was always the fix. That's what I would do. And so it changed for me when the universe, my body said, okay, you're not going to listen. It made me get horizontal. I had to change. And thank God, honestly, that was the best thing. I did not think that at the time, but it was the best thing that happened for me. And what I didn't realize, and it took me time in the ashes of being the phoenix before I could rise out of it, was that when we are putting more effort in, when we are saying, you're not doing enough, when we are operating in our careers like, I need more, it's not enough, the reality of that, the core of this is that I was acting from my wound. You might be acting from a wound of You have to do more. You have to push harder. You have to achieve more because there's a wound that, wow, maybe if I am just exactly who I am, that it's not enough. And that's a problem, friends. If that is how you're operating in any area of your life, that might get you by until it doesn't. And romantic relationship, for sure, I feel like romantic relationship is the last stop. We can get away in our careers for a certain amount of time without burning out. And some of you who are, I guarantee, I'm curious, tell me in the DM, send me a DM if you have experienced career burnout, or you're there, or you're just like getting by with a skin in your teeth. But when we are operating from, I need to do more, I need to produce more, it's not enough, I need to talk to XY on the team and I can't say no, I can't say no to them, I'm always going the extra mile in my relationship. A lot of times we have to, number one, get honest with ourselves. Like, I'm talking radically honest. For me, that burnout, I had no other choice. Laying down, horizontal, I was like, okay, I have to look at this. There is no other choice for me. When we're in relationship, and a lot of times, unfortunately, when people come to me, it's because they don't want to lose this person. They don't want to lose a good person, their person, possibly. And the reality is, it's such a great thing. I celebrate that because when we hit that bottom, when we hit that place in our relationship, when that's the opportunity to see the wound. This is like, if you're in medicine, or even if you don't know medicine, like the awareness that you're going septic. We need to get you in the ER. Like that, then we can actually heal the infection. If you're just kind of lolly-dollying around, you don't know that your cut's infected, like that's a problem. That's a problem. So really, when we understand and that we're acting from our wound, that's when we can get the antibiotics. That's when we can get to the hospital. That's when we can actually do things. Now, of course, we want to prevent, right? It's not just like, I'm going to wait to clean this wound until I have to go to the hospital. Like, okay, let's clean it. Let's monitor it. Is it red? Is it swollen, right? We want to be able to see the signs. So I want to talk about some of these signs that if you are wanting more effort from your partner and you're not sure, am I acting from my wound? There are some signs that you may not know. You probably do know, but I'm just going to call you out. Okay. And so just check if this is you. Here's some pretty obvious signs that you're acting from your wound and it's showing up like, I want more effort from them, but really it's actually your wound. So first sign is that you're being a little passive aggressive. Ugh, I know. Passive aggressive, right? Is something wrong? And you're like slamming plates down or like, not doing whatever. In fact, that kind of happened to me the other day. We were having a little communication bump because we're human. Craig and I are human. And I was like, ooh, okay, I'm sitting with this. I'm noticing like I'm okay, something to look at. But a lot of times when we're acting from our wound, we just go straight into the subconscious behavior. There's no awareness. So first sign you want to look for is passive aggressive. Okay, we're being passive aggressive. We're kind of being snarky, like, shutting them down a little bit. So that's one way. Another sign is that we are getting really frustrated over the small things. Okay, this is also what's so probably infuriating for some of you, or frustrating and like shameful, is you'll have the big blowout or the big fight and really you look over it. And I will keep putting this in front of you guys, but be honest with yourself. It's usually really something small. And in the moment when you're triggered, it doesn't feel small, right? It doesn't feel small. It feels really big. But when when everything's settled, when the dust is settled, usually it's over something small. Really, really not mediocre, but minor. Same minor, M's, whatever. Minor. And if you are willing to look at it, you can see that too, right? So it's over. You get frustrated over really small things. They didn't put the dish away when you asked. Really, is it really that big of a deal? Not really. But then, like the reaction in proportion to what happened is huge reaction, small thing. Okay. The other sign, the third sign, so first one, passive aggressive, second one, getting really frustrated, bent out of shape over small things. And then the last sign here is feeling really betrayed, or really, how do I want to say this? Like they're doing it at you. Okay? You're feeling feeling burdened. That's the word. You're feeling burdened, like they're maybe you're taking on a lot with them, or they're doing it out of spite. A lot of times, like when I look earlier in my healing journey, I would say, like, I would feel and say, you're doing this to me. They're doing it to me. Like, you're punishing me. Ooh, I forgot about that one. Woo, that was, ugh. I got a really bad taste in my mouth saying that. Yeah, you're doing this to me to punish me. Whoa. I know. I can feel it out there. Be honest with yourself, right? And a lot of times and I don't know the context of your situation, but I'm just going to say, a lot of times if you're saying that phrase, it's usually an indicator that we're acting from a wound. Now, I don't know the context of what's happening with you in this moment, but if that tends to be a pattern for you, that they're doing this to me and they're doing this at me. Now, again, like, I don't know if you know the narcissist or not, but I don't talk about narcissists. That's not my thing. But a lot of times, if you're with a good person, they're not really doing it at you. They're not trying to punish you, but it can feel like they are. Okay? So all those are signs that, yeah, if we're acting from a wound, and usually they're you can kind of see these symptoms all over, okay, all over the place. So wanting more effort, the real thing that I want you to look at is, because we can't control them, that's just not going to happen, but how are you perceiving, how are you thinking and feeling, and is it coming from a wounded place where I have to do more, it's never enough, you know, maybe your inner talk is pretty negative. All of those pieces really important to look at. And also, March, we're talking all about that in the Healing Girl Gang, about how do you communicate your needs without being needy. This is also like, how do you ask them to show up in a way that feels connected and brings them actually closer without being nagging, without being like accusatory, being critical. All of those super important. So, okay, that's happening in the Healing Girl Gang. Also, the storefront is coming. I'm realizing that I have this whole retinue of classes, and I want to be able to have those available for all of you. So that there's going to be a shop coming. So if you're listening to this later in 2025 or in the future, or this is like the time for this class has ended, then the shop will hopefully be open by then. Okay, so in the Healing Girl Gang, we answer questions, and let's see here. We've got Jennifer L. My ex-fiance broke up with me and moved out of our home to a different city with his parents. He's planning to also secure a job there. With the help of understanding that we have different attachment styles, he has been communicating with me, but unsure if he'd be in a relationship with me again. So my question isn't very specific, but rather, what can I do to help our relationship if we don't even live together, or let alone the same city? So to me, this is, again, wonderful question, and it never surprises me that people ask the questions of the things that are coming up. And so, first of all, Jennifer, it sounds like you guys aren't together. Okay, so that's just the reality, right? Are you putting a lot of weight, a lot of investment, a lot of thought, just investment, your brain space, your emotions, when the reality is you're actually not there. You're not in a relationship. Your current status, exes, right? So when you say, like, what can I do to help our relationship, you get to be in the reality of you're not in a relationship, you don't live together, and you're not even in the same city. So you have to, like, work with what is. Can you explore long distance? Sure, you can explore that, but has that even come up? Has he made a movement towards that? Because if he's making these decisions, he's moving forward to an area, then he that's also up to him. If he wants to continue that with you, he's also got to bring that up, right? And I'm also not one to like play games, and it this really feels nuanced. So I'm just going to say that to me, with what I have here, and also understanding communication requires context. Context is a little bit more history, and also when I coach clients, it's I can really feel into what's going on. I can feel into it, and answering a question like this, I really can't feel into you. I'm very kind of limited with that. But what I'm sensing from you is what can I do to help the relationship? You I wouldn't even see that's like really your place right now. If he's taking all these actions to build his life, then he is going to either make the move or talk about it or move in that direction or open it with you in the direction he's going. Now, I know that's uncomfortable because you're probably a doer. What can I do? What action can I take? Can I do more? Can I do more? And when in reality, when I see that as like the reaction, as the thing that you feel compelled to do, the thing that I look at is, well, let's look at what the response should be. Like, I don't want you to be in reaction mode. How do you respond and open connection without going into this behavior of, I got to fix it, I got to do something. Ugh. I mean, and if you feel into it, the only person, I'm just making a guess here because I'm just talking to a camera, talking to a microphone. So you're the only person that can really feel into, am I trying to make something happen, when it's really he's taking actions and he gets to invite you along. And the other side of that is, well, if he doesn't invite me, then what? And that's literally a whole different question. But you're in the Healing Girl Gang. There's opportunities for me to support you more in this. And yeah, I would, instead of thinking, what can I do to help? The question I want you to sit with is, what can I do to look at what's real? Right? Like, what's actually in service in my most alignment? And that might be sitting in the discomfort of letting him invite you into a certain direction together. Okay? All right, angels. Jennifer, I hope to see you in the Healing Girl Gang in the different ways that I can support you. I'm sending you lots of love. Mwah.